All right, y'all. MAGA voter snap after discovering healthcare in Europe is free.
Hype me up. Hype me up. Hype me up.
Y'all know what it is. I need that like a crackhead need a pipe. You understand what I'm talking about?
Want to see what happens when you find out the average ambulance bill is $1,200 without insurance, $600 with? He's off, ladies and gentlemen. He is refusing an ambulance ride because of the cost. The problem in America is that our medical costs are so high that without insurance or minimal insurance, you can go broke paying your bills.
Nigga, is that a shark biting this dude?
This is a gentleman who had a shark attached to his arm, and he's refusing medical care because he's worried about the costs. This is a big problem. People are not getting the care they need because they're worried about the cost. And why are things so expensive? Well, one of the main reasons is the ongoing fight between insurance companies and the hospitals. Hospitals will often decide on the price of things, and insurance companies only want to pay a small percentage of it. So let's say a hospital says, we're going to charge $1 for Tylenol. Well, the insurance company may only want to pay 20 cents. The hospital says, well, we need to make more of a profit to keep our business running. So then they charge $2 for a Tylenol. And again, the insurance company is like, well, maybe we're only going to pay 40 cents. And before you know it, after this back and forth, hospitals have raised the price of one Tylenol to $500. And then you come along with minimal insurance or no insurance and show up at the hospital, and they say that'll be $500 for that Tylenol. And that's the problem. It's the ongoing fight between insurance companies and the hospital, and unfortunately patients are getting stuck in between, and it just has to change.
Yeah, bro, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, bro. The insurance company really doesn't want to pay for nothing, but the hospital still wants to make a profit because they got to pay their highly paid doctors, nurse practitioners, x-ray techs, and things of that nature. It's a lot of money that goes into healthcare. But I want to know this. How often, on average, are people refusing ambulances? Because $12, $13, $14, $15,000 for like a trip that's 3 or 4 miles will cost you that much money, man. Who wants to do that, bro? Let's be real.
Are now arguing that they made our healthcare more expensive for our own good, folks. Just watch this.
You need to have a system that does both, takes care of you when you're ill and you're sick, but also incentivizes you to adopt healthy behaviors that keep you healthier and keep you out of the hospital. When there is a copay and a deductible, there's some skin in the game. Patients don't overutilize, and they're more likely to adopt healthy behaviors.
If y'all don't hear from me in the next 24 hours, someone should start a bail fund, because this single clip is going to turn me into the actual Joker. Also, for legal purposes, so the FBI doesn't show up at my front door, that was a joke, you nerds. Because not only is that patronizing as to essentially suggest that Congress's job is to make life harder for Americans because that will somehow make us more responsible as individuals, it's also just straight up not true. We know this because countless studies have already documented what happens when people lose access to health insurance or the cost of healthcare goes up. You want to know what people do, Marionette? They fucking die! Or, to back up a little bit, first, they just stop going to the doctor at all. In fact, about 1 in 3 insured adults and 3 out of every 4 uninsured adults say that they have delayed or skipped needed medical care entirely because of cost. Higher out-of-pocket costs are associated with underutilization of essential care, reduced treatment adherence, and as a result, more emergency room visits. In other words, creating financial barriers, you know, the very thing that Marionette was expecting us to thank her and her party for doing, do the exact opposite of what she is claiming. She's suggesting that people paying higher deductibles and copays will make folks feel like they have some skin in the game and therefore will take better care of themselves. And just pause for a moment and really think about what she is claiming here. To believe that that is even remotely possible, you would first have to believe that Americans are only sick because we just can't be bothered to take care of ourselves. Not to mention, what the does it even mean to suggest that people need a little skin in the game on this? I cannot think of anything more skin in the game than your literal skin, your entire being. We're talking about healthcare, Marionette, people's literal lives. Do you not think that Americans have a vested interest in our own ability to stay alive? On top of that, if having healthcare cost us money out of pocket had any positive impact on people's health or health behaviors, we would already be the healthiest nation in the developed world. But in reality, we consistently rank among the sickest nations in the world, while our healthcare spending vastly exceeds what other countries are spending. But by all means, if Marionette and her party want to roll into the midterms telling Americans that we should thank them for their service of making our healthcare worse and more expensive, go right ahead, sweetheart. But don't say that we didn't warn you.
You know what would be some skin in the game for the government? Enforce rules on these companies that make food. Tell them to stop poisoning the food. Tell them to make the food healthier. Don't even give people the options to buy food that have been linked back to illnesses, sicknesses, and diseases. Food that have all kind of chemicals and stuff that other countries have banned. That's skin in the game for y'all. Y'all talking about us having skin in the game. That's some wild shit right there. Guys, there's a joke that I saw recently. A black dude told it, and I don't know his name, and I can't find the clip. But it goes back to this health shit, bro. He was like, basically, my grandmother told me, you only got two things to worry about in life. Whether you're healthy or whether you're sick. If you're healthy, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you're sick, you got two things to worry about. Whether you get better or worse. If you get better, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you get worse, you got two things to worry about. Whether you live or whether you die. If you live, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you die, you got two things to worry about. Whether or not you go to heaven or hell. If you go to heaven, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you go to hell, you got two things to worry about. Original or extra crispy. That was corny, but I like that joke. Boy, that was a funny joke, man. Don't block me, y'all.
I don't know how many Americans know this, but CVS Health owns Aetna, the health insurance company, correct?
Correct.
And CVS, which owns Aetna, also owns Oak Street Health Medical Clinics, correct?
Yes, it does.
And in addition to that, they own, of course, CVS Pharmacies, and CVS Health also owns CVS Caremark, the pharmacy benefit manager, which helps negotiate some of these rebates and prescription prices, correct?
That's correct.
I was following one of CVS's investor calls where they really laid out quite clearly what this means if you are a patient. This is what's known as a captive strategy. And CVS in the investor call used the example themselves of a patient known as Kate. Kate has an Aetna health insurance plan right here, and which is owned by CVS Health. She then goes to a CVS pharmacy. She's connected to an Oak Street Health medical clinic. She sees a doctor at Oak Street Health who prescribes her medication. And then she goes to fill that prescription at a CVS pharmacy. So the price Kate pays for that medication is dictated by Aetna, CVS Caremark, and they also own the drug manufacturer Cordavis. Mr. Joyner, this is quite a bit of market concentration.
Yep.
Wouldn't you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree that it's market concentration. I would suggest it's a model that works really well for the consumer.
I think it works very well for CVS. In fact, you all said on the call.
Yeah, this is crazy.
that
I saw this
fully,
before.
you all call it a fully engaged member. It's great marketing there. Fully engaged member unlocks sizable value for payers and CVS Health. So the health insurance gets a cut, the pharmacy benefit manager gets a cut, the drug manufacturer gets a cut, and the patient gets screwed because whether you're a blue-blooded capitalist or a card-carrying democratic socialist, I think corporate monopolies are a problem. And this vertical integration is destroying people's ability to access care. But when you own the care, when the insurer owns the pharmacy, owns the PBM, owns the drug manufacturer, you also own the healthcare cost. You own a big chunk of the healthcare cost. And so, 100 years ago, we had this type of market concentration in our banks. And we did something about it when it crashed the economy. And we passed the Glass-Steagall Act. We should be considering that in our healthcare system. And if we believe in competition, I think we should put our votes and our legislation in alignment with that and consider breaking up this industry in order to allow the competition that prevents this kind of vertical integration and abuse of power. And with that, I yield back.
Yeah, man. It's almost as if, we need more politicians who actually lived in the real world and they weren't career politicians or they came from money, because it seems like all of the ones that came from money and never really worked in amongst us common folks, they can't hear our plights. They don't understand our struggle. They never experienced it. Sometimes in order to experience things, not experience things, but sometimes to be in these positions, I think you need people who have empathy in those positions. I would love for them to do some type of test to just test the empathy levels of people who are in politics in general. And I think it would be very, very low on average. I don't think these people truly mean to serve nobody, bro. I think it's just a way for them to get money under the rules of doing it for the people. Like, come on, man. Very few of them I actually trust, dog. She's one of them, I think. You know, she probably don't even come from the money. I'm looking at her name, Ocasio-Cortez. That means she done married a Hispanic person, most likely. You know? And she don't come off as a MAGA person. Yeah, it is what it is, though.
Only gave birth 30 minutes ago, but we have someone waiting on this room, so we gotta make this quick. Here is your bill for $10,000. No, that can't be right. It should only be like $2,000 to $3,000. I have health insurance and I chose this hospital because it's in network. See, honey, the hospital's in network, but the doctor who delivered your baby and the anesthesiologist were out of network doctors, so they're not covered by your insurance at all. What? No one told me this could happen. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. Well, you better scurry on back to work then, because your employer wasn't required to provide any maternity leave, and if you miss a day, you might lose your job and not be able to pay us. Congratulations on your new baby. No, sit down. It's okay. You should stay here for 3 days. We want to make sure everything is okay before you go home for your minimum 8 weeks of maternity leave.
8 weeks, dog? 8 weeks in other countries, man. Shit, I got 3 kids, dog. This nigga ain't never get no 3 weeks for no kid. Not even one of them. Wow. Crazy.
Worry, everything is paid by Sécurité Sociale, so you don't owe us any money at all. And actually, here is a check for almost $2,000 to make sure that you have everything that you need for your new baby.
Did I just hear that right? Did the lady just say, here's $2,000? You just had the baby. Not only are you going to be comfortable, you're going to get top tier medical treatment from a loving staff. They're going to give you 8 weeks off of work, and you're going to get a $2,000 check. Boy, it can be done. I saw a video the other day where they was talking about this is why we don't have free healthcare. Basically flexing with the military, saying this is why. Look at these fighter jets. Look at all these missiles and drones that we have. This is why we don't have free healthcare, because we spend the money on defense to protect your ass. But if y'all stop fucking with people, we wouldn't need the protection like that. Have protection, but don't go out there and make enemies the way you do.
Here for 10 years in various different departments. We have been at the negotiating table for the past 4 months for safe staffing. Currently, we have patients that wait in the recovery room for up to 2 days because they're willing to pack them in, but they're not willing to account for how many beds are in the hospital. And that results in patients waiting, that results in patients suffering, and that results in nurses not being able to help you. Nurses should not have no health care while we are working during COVID conditions, while we're working during extreme influenza conditions, while the EDs are packed. Your family member should not be sitting in the recovery room next to somebody with influenza when your family member just waited 6 months to a year to get a solid organ transplant. That is a gift, and you should not have to squander it because the hospital decides that you are not important enough. I don't support any money going to war. Nurses are here to protect you. It's corporations that are trying to suck the money out of you and are trying to make you suffer. Nurses stand with you. We want you to stand with us. This is just the beginning. If we can do it, you can do it. Know your worth.
Yeah, bro. Know your worth. Money on war, but can't feed the poor, and you can't keep people healthy. Dog, the life expectancy, I think the average life expectancy for America is actually going backwards. Get a load of that. It's going backwards, dog. It's not getting better. With advantages in technology and medical and all of that good stuff happening, you would think that our average life expectancy would be going up by now. Like the average life expectancy for a black person should be about 80 by now. You know, but nah, man, let's spend it on all this money, spend all this money on war.
This is what our shitty ass healthcare has come to, where my patients need medicine and supplies, and their insurance won't cover it, and here I am spending my own money because my patient needs it, and he doesn't have any money, and he can't work. And the insurance won't even cover what he needs. And I'm sad and I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, bro. It's like when the teachers have to spend money on supplies for the poor kids and stuff. Kids that don't have paper, pencils, crayons, things of that nature. A lot of times they footing the bill, man. And sometimes I guess these healthcare professionals are helping patients out too who are in financial straits. You know, the compassion and the empathy that they have is some of the stuff that these politicians need and they lack. It is crazy to me, man. Like, they put people in office who truly don't give a shit about you, and you voted against your best interest. Most of the MAGA people, that is, man. Dog, this is just ridiculous right here, man.
Can I help you? So I think there's a mistake on the bill, but maybe you could help me out. We got a bill, and then we realized that you guys didn't have our insurance, so we sent you the insurance, and it looks like the bill went up.
It went up?
Yeah, the first bill we got without the insurance was $600, and then the second one was almost $1,300.
Okay. Yeah, so that the first invoice you received, that's a discount that you receive if you're uninsured. So you're not eligible for the discount since you are insured. And so the bill was $2,342.14. We billed your insurance. Your insurance only paid $1,078.85.
Can I go back to the discount without the insurance?
Dude, flabbergasted.
No, sir, you're insured, so you're not eligible for the discount.
If I go cancel my insurance, am I eligible for the discount?
No, sir, because we checked eligibility and you do have active coverage for data service.
Oh, I needed to cancel it before I got the service to get the discount.
You're only eligible for the discount if you're uninsured.
Okay, so I'll get cheaper health care if I'm uninsured.
If you're uninsured, you're eligible for the discount, correct?
Is this common? Like I pay for insurance and I end up paying more out of pocket because I pay for a premium? That's wild.
No, this is just a new law that passed or started 2024 AB 716, and the law is if you receive a discount if you're uninsured.
Okay.
So when we first ended,
What type of demonic person would come up with a law like that?
invoice to the patient, we bill them as if they're uninsured. If you're insured, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the discount.
Okay, so just
That's ridiculous.
if I have the incentive straight here, if I want to pay less for medical care, I should cancel my insurance if my daughter needs life-saving medical care?
I'm not sure. I don't know, sir.
Okay, that is special. That is a special law. So there's no way to put that discount onto an insured person. Only the uninsured people get that.
Correct.
Yep, that'll piss you off right there, dog. That'll make you crash out. You'll be on some John Q shit. If your kid needed a life-saving surgery or something, you'll pull a John Q, man.
And if you think that the American healthcare system is working. Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is not working. All right, let me rephrase the question. Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is working well. Anders, how many people are raising their hands?
None.
Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is broken. Raise your hand.
Majority, everyone.
Not a majority, virtually everybody in the room.
Yeah.
This man said not a majority. There's pretty much everyone in here. Guys, 51 out of 100 is the majority. That means most. So in a room with everybody hand virtually raised, don't try to gaslight somebody, bro. Come on now.
And I can see behind that guy.
And that is, all right, question again. How many nations, wealthy nations in the world, do not guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Anybody know the answer?
Except for us.
Which country? All right. Now, you're not going to hear much about that on corporate television. You're not going to hear much about that
on Fox News
in the United States Congress. We're the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. 85 million of us are uninsured or underinsured. 60,000 die each year because we can't get to a doctor on time. That's the bad news. You know what the good news is? The insurance companies are making tens of billions of dollars every year denying you coverage.
Hey, as long as the insurance people getting their money, dog, why should we complain? They living good, high off the hog, marble floors, chandeliers all in the house or whatnot, you know. Why should we be upset?
The drug companies charge us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. So how does it happen that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we're spending twice as much per capita as the people in other countries, and yet we have one of the worst outcomes, healthcare outcomes, of any country on earth? And
you know what? That's crazy, dog. You know I love to do this shit right here, dog. Hold on. Can you compare and contrast drug cost, drug price, medication in America versus the rest of the developed world? I probably should have went to Perplexity for this. Well, that must have been a tough question. It never takes this long. Yes, the cleanest way to compare it is to separate price, spending, and what patients feel at the pharmacy counter. Bottom line, the U.S. is not an outlier because Americans use dramatically more medicine. Yeah, we use way more medicine because the country doesn't care about our health than everyone else. The main difference is that the same branded drugs usually cost much more in the U.S. than in other wealthy countries. Here's the simplest breakdown. Drug price equal what the drug is priced at in the market. Drug cost can mean different things depending on what you ask. For the patient, it means out-of-pocket costs. For the insurer, employee, government, it means what they actually pay after rebates and negotiations. For the country, it means total spending on medicine. Yeah, so with that, let's skip to this part. How American compares with other developed countries. Using 2022 data across 33 OECD comparison countries, U.S. prescription drug prices were 2.78 times as high overall for brand name originator drugs. U.S. prices were 4.22 times as high. By contrast, U.S. unbranded generics were actually lower priced on average than in peer countries. Okay, cool, whatever. But you know what's crazy? They try not to even push you towards the generic kind. They push you towards the ones they make maximum profits on, guys. Let's be fucking for real. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna get at y'all on the next one.
Hype me up. Hype me up. Hype me up.